Hey, 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 good morning. Happy homecoming, welcome home. Please welcome the Sound of Light Choir. Y'all ready? But this is a celebration, so I think we should take it a little higher. What you think? What y'all think? All right, okay. We clap our hands. We clap our hands in the sanctuary. We clap our hands. We clap our hands to give you the glory. We clap our hands to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. Hey, we clap our hands. Celebration, so I want to take it a little higher even more. What y'all think? Can we take it higher? Hey, we sing our song. We sing our song in the sanctuary. We sing our song to give you the glory. We sing our song to give you the praise. And we will praise you for the rest of our days. Yes, we will praise you for the rest of our days. Let's go to the bridge. But I want to hear from the choir. I want to hear my sopranos. Sopranos, where my sopranos at? Tell them how you feel, sopranos. Yes. For the rest of the days. Yes. For the rest of the days. Thank you, sopranos. Yes. For the rest of the days. I'm feeling that too, sopranos. Yes. I think the altos got a little bit for you too. What you say, altos? Got some too. Tell them what you feel, guys. Yes. For the rest of my days. Yes. For the rest of my days. Yes. For the rest of my
Happy anniversary! For 38 years. For 38 years. Starting out as the First Church of Religious Science of Atlanta, meeting in the Admiral Benbow Bar, moving into the High Museum, and then finding our way here. We have been serving this community and, thanks to the advent of technology, serving the world now in a multitude of ways. And in fact, what we've decided to do is we are live streaming today. So say hello to the world. We live in the age of technology and Facebook, which now lets us see back what happened all these years. And I've started to look and notice all of the pictures and all of the events that SLCA has hosted around this time of the year in honoring the day that we became chartered as an official church. And we've done some great celebrating. And it's also an amazing time of the year. So much happens around this time. And in fact, this weekend was also the celebration of Veterans Day. And I would like all of our veterans in the room to please stand. We honor you and we celebrate you and the long-lasting ripple effect that you have had with regards to the ability to sustain the freedoms that we have. Thank you so very, very much. And moving forward, there is so much good to celebrate. There are so many people that are the lifeblood, the wind beneath my wings, the jewel in my crown, the essence of SLCA himself, David Aurelio, our Executive Director.
Good morning. That was very kind, but I'm a little nervous about the wind beneath my wings reference, because she dies in that movie. That's me. That's not a good reference.
I'll pray for you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. Happy anniversary. Happy homecoming. Lots of great faces that haven't been here in a while. We're thrilled that you're back to join us for this special, special day. So, as I always start out, as you know, every service, I read our mission statement. And that's not because I don't have anything to say. It's because I want to make sure that we stay in that intention, that pure intention, as we know who and what we are. So, I will say it today, and I want you to know with me. We are a spiritual community that empowers the seeker to uncover their divine purpose, and we choose as a community to consciously lead in educating and engaging that seeker to be a participant in this ever-evolving world. That is our mission statement. Amen is right. So that is what we do, and we do it in a multitude of ways. And I want to just thank you for all of the ways in which you participate in, but tell you about a few things that are coming up that I'd love to see if you have interest in. First and foremost, we had 52 people here for Movies and More last Friday night. 52 people. So I want to thank Baji Daniels and Richard Moy and Johnny Van for all that they do to coordinate those movies once a month. That movie was, John Miller was here. He's the one that did The New Thought, A New You, also the New Thought movie. This was the third in his What a Man Thinketh. And so it's available on Amazon, but we did a screening with him as the director, as well as one of the actors was here, and so we got into a great discussion about that. So again, check out Movies and More. It's always happening the second Friday of every month, so you want to take advantage of that. You probably saw the holiday tree was out there, so let me just tell you a little bit about that. For those that are unfamiliar with that, every year we do what we call the Giving Tree. The Giving Tree highlights certain charities throughout the Atlanta area, and then it corresponds to an ornament on the tree. If you would like to participate, just go out to the tree, check out the ornament, and you'll see inside your program all the different charities that we're honoring this year. So we have Senior Services of North Fulton County. Hero for Children. This is an organization solely focused on quality of life care for children with HIV and AIDS. We've got the United Way of Greater Atlanta, We have Families First that assist over 40,000 children and families each year. And we have Gateway Center, which works to end homelessness for our veterans. So those are the organizations. You can go out there, you can see what they specifically need or what the suggestions are. You don't have to buy everything on there, but we certainly want to give you the ideas of what you can participate in. You sign out the ornament. Let me say that again. You sign out the ornament so I know who's got who, and then you bring that ornament back when you bring all the gifts back by December 3rd, and then we get it to the different charities. In addition, we will be doing a food drive, and those of you that are here, you know that as we go into SLCA 2.0, into 2018, we highlighted homelessness and hunger relief as our two main causes that we want to get more active in. So one of those on here, United Way of Greater Atlanta, is helping the homelessness effort. So when these people are they're taken off the streets, we get them, or they get them into homes. They get their furniture through a furniture bank. So donated furniture goes there and they go shopping to furnish whatever home they go into. But what they need is little things: sheets, towels, cutlery, things for the kitchen. So that's the ornament that you'll find out there. That's going to go for United Way to help assist their effort. We'll do a food drive. I know lots of you are volunteering for Joe Labriola's organization, Second Helpings, which goes and reclaims food from different restaurants. What we're going to do is bring in your canned goods, bring in the food you want to donate. We're donating directly to one of the organizations that they help, which is the Toco Hills Community Alliance. So they have a kitchen there. We'll just be doing that, and our volunteers will take that over each week. So food drive will happen throughout the whole month. Get an ornament, get involved in the giving tree if you would like to. If you have any questions, I'll be out there to answer that for you. And then also, I just want to say thank you to those that came last Sunday. We had a concert with Jamie Lula and Gary Lynn Floyd for relief for Puerto Rico. And I'm happy to say that we raised $941, which will be going to Puerto Rico. So that's fantastic. And a lot of people, I think if you saw on the news this week that, they only had 20% of the power restored, and even that is now gone again because it just went down again. So they still need help. So we're hoping to say, people had said, can we give some money today? Yes you may. So there you'll see some bins out there for Puerto Rico. You can throw your checks in there to SLCA. You can make it, we're just going to donate all that money. We're looking to donate towards, Ricky Martin has a great foundation, and Jennifer, you and I love Ricky Martin. So Ricky Martin, that's a big one. And then also, if you remember when Edward Villoon was here, he mentioned one of his practitioners is actually from Puerto Rico, and his family and the parish that he grew up in, we're trying to coordinate with them directly because we want those monies to go directly to the people in need. So that's the key. So you may give that money today if you'd like to. So lots of ways to get involved. So now, with all that said, let's get on to some other stuff that's happening. Next week, we're excited because we've been teasing it for a bit, a conversation about race. And I would love to invite to the stage two ladies who have been instrumental in making this happen for us, Jill Hendricks and Baji Daniels.
Good morning, I'm Jill.
And I am Baji.
And yes, we would like to invite you next week from 1 to 3 here at SLCA. We're going to have food and nourishment for body, mind, and spirit.
There is no fee for this event. If you have an open mind and an open heart, please join us.
So when it comes to racism, we all have stories, hidden stories, most of them. And our stories are both conscious and unconscious. It is the unconscious stories that are often driving the show, and that's what we want to look at. Our unconscious stories, our beliefs, what we profess may or may not be true.
I know that you agree with me that we are blessed to be in a diverse community here. We live in a diverse city. If we want to prepare ourselves for the upcoming election here in Georgia, that will have a lot of racial overtones, if we want to be the light that we say we are, then we need to be prepared. This conscious conversation will prepare us and allow us to heal, center, and align. How many of you saw the newsletter that went out this past week? Friday. If you haven't yet seen it, please take time to look. Jill and I have a little video clip. If you just click on that, we go into more detail, which David has not allowed us to do this morning.
So that's it. Check out the video if you want to know more. You can ask me and Baji questions, and we look forward to seeing many of you next Sunday.
Thank you, ladies. Joe Labriola, a member of our board, please step up. Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Thank you. Good morning. I feel a little bit like I'm channeling Gladys Knight because I've never had pips before. So this is a special day for me. About a year ago, I was approached to see if I would be interested in serving as a member of the Board of Trustees. And my initial reaction was, I'm not sure I want to belong to any club that would have me as a member. But as I really thought about it, it's really flattering to be asked. And I've been on the board now for almost a year, and it's been an eye-opening experience for me. I've gotten a real appreciation of what happens behind the scenes and what it takes to run this organization. The Board of Trustees is charged really with two things. It's overseeing the legal and financial well-being of the organization. And as a member of the Board of Trustees, I also played a small role and got my fingerprints on SLCA 2.0, which has been really rewarding. Beginning part of next year, we have 3 board members, Niall Dawson, our president, Tom Woodward, our vice president, and Vera Carter, our recording secretary. Their terms are up, so they'll be rolling off the board. We're looking for people that are interested in joining us. 3 things to be qualified. 1, either currently enrolled or previously enrolled in the Science of Mind class, you're a pledger, and that you volunteered on a sustained basis. If you've only checked 1 or 2 of the 3, now's your opportunity to sign up for a class, sign up to be a committee member or a volunteer, or become a pledger. The group is just wonderful to work with. We may not always agree, but everybody's opinion and voice is sought after and respected. And we would love to have you join the leadership team to helping us get to where we'd like to get to. If you're interested, you can contact me, any board member, or David Aurelio to express your interest. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us. Thank you.
Joe? Just a reminder, next Sunday is Teen Sunday, so if you have teens, that's the Sunday for them to join us. So please make sure you do that. And also just a reminder, again, in preparation for as we morph into SLCA 2.0, we're starting to ease you into it a little bit. So we're going to go to one service starting December 3rd. And I know a few of you have said, how's that possible? How is that possible? How are we going to possibly do one service? Well, we're going to do one service. It's only for a few months. It's only for like 12 weeks, I think, because once we go into the new space, we're looking for space that will accommodate 350 to 400. So at that point, we can go to one service easily. Right now, the seat's 220, and so we'll be more than happy to do it. And so we may look back into live streaming it. I'm not sure yet, because I want to make sure you just don't stay home and eat cereal, that you actually come here to have the message. So join us for that, but again, not to worry, it's not forever in regards to being here in a cramped space, but I think you'll enjoy it. Are there any first-time visitors joining us for the very first time today? Please stand up. Stand up, I've got gifts for you. Welcome to each of you. Keep standing so we can find you. What you're receiving is a CD case. You may take that to our welcome and visitors table after the service and redeem that for one of Dr. Ault's talks, especially selected for you. What a thrilling day for you to be here as part of our history as we get excited and set an intention as we move into the next generation of SLCA. So thank you again. If you have become a member and you're wanting to be recognized, we're doing that on December 3rd, that first Sunday in December. So please see me to make sure I have your name on the list. Thanks so much. Have a great day and a blessed week.
Thank you, David, and I invite you to stand with your programs. For decades now, we have been saying this declaration of principle, but I invite you today to bring a fresh intent to it and let us say it together. I believe in one God, one absolute power and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it eats out of a desire to express love. I believe that all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience. I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. Brand new month, brand new song on the inside for November, World of Abundance. Please turn to those around you and say, welcome. Happy, happy homecoming. If you would take that beautiful energy now, as you get settled in, give yourself a little bit of elbow room, relax, maybe, in fact, check your posture a little bit, sit up straighter than normal as we move into our sacred time of affirmative prayer. And this morning we are led in that by our wonderful Reverend Susan Zoller.
Originally, I wasn't scheduled to be the person here today, but she is so busy. I'd like to just tell you so you can begin to understand all the pieces that come into doing this. She is a prayer practitioner here. She's a ministerial student, and Nana is also the director of our dance ministry. So I'm taking her place because she's so busy today doing all those things. One of the things I consider my ministry is I work in pet rescue. And I went over to the Best Friends Animal Rescue not too far from my house this week and took some things. And as I was going, I just always have to go back and see the dogs. They're just so wonderful. Some of them are skittish. They don't want you to do anything. Some of them can be a little aggressive because they are afraid. And then there's some of them who are the most loving creatures. There was one who was there as I walked by, and she stuck her nose out and she was doing her paw like this, and I just had to go over and pet her because she was so loving. A lot of these were dogs brought from Texas, and she's already adopted. I can certainly see why. And aren't we, I know I am sometimes that dog that's withdrawn or sometimes a little snappy. Not often, but yeah, and also that dog that is so loving. Aren't we all? And I think this is what the world needs more of, is loving, because everyone in the world really is moving to be more loved. And I invite you to know that today with me. I'm going to say this in the first person as an affirmative prayer, and I invite you to take it very personally. Close your eyes if you like. You don't have to. Just know this with me. I live in a world that is created by the source of all being. That being has made everything. It is an intelligence. It's not a person. It's so much more than I can conceive of. I put it in terms that I can conceive of, calling it spirit or God or by many other names. And I know that each of us, every living thing and every seemingly non-living thing, is made of the same stuff this God is, this spirit, because we are of it. And no matter what the appearance of that being, that material, that inanimate object is, that what we each want in whatever consciousness we have is to be a part of it all, included, loved. And so sometimes the ways that appears seems very distorted to us. And I know, however, at the being of everything, at the very core, there is love to give and to receive. And so today, I declare myself more open to seeing love in everything, to seeing love in the traffic as it's sometimes so snarled, as a person who's just caused a wreck, as a person who is homeless or lonely or angry. I see it in situations of violence that I cannot understand whatsoever. I see it in the people who stand up. I see it in the people who are supposedly called victims. Not to diminish that, but we know that on some level we are creating what we're doing. So we are creating a greater world. Even the abusers and the polluters and the angry situations we see, they are all made of God. And it is an opportunity for me to know greater and bigger about every one of these things. And this is a way that I move the world. And every little action adds up, every thought and every emotion. And so I know today that each one of us is going to keep in consciousness that when we leave here, we are moved to a greater awareness of love and compassion. And we act that out from our heart. I don't have to save the world. I just have to save myself. And this is the way I save myself, by seeing the love in others. And I know that these words have gone out far beyond whatever I can conceive of where they've gone. They're touching people I will never meet. And for that I am grateful, because it is already so. Because my words have gone into the spiritual laws that we know. They're into the law and they're already creating. It's complete in the mind of God, so it must appear here in this physical plane. So from my heart, thank you for knowing this with me. Thank you for all the work that has gone into putting this service together today, our leadership, everything. And I know that it is so. I say namaste, aloha, blessed be, amen, and I invite you with me, and so it is.
want to acknowledge one more time not only the Sound of Light Choir and our own Penelope Williams and the creative arts, but also the dance ministry and everything that is involved in what it is that they bring. Thank you so much. And the message of that song is a vital one. It talks, if you listen carefully with a spiritual ear, it's telling the fact that we are not isolated. No one is an island. We are all together. And the degree by which one succeeds, that succession of expansion ripples out to one another. To the degree that we withhold and we shame and we judge is the degree by which that same dense energy ripples out. And so we start to see that we are not isolated and that everything is our opportunity, and that it is our privilege to look at the idea of homecoming, of coming home to self, as a necessary reawakening. In fact, on the very, very final paragraph written by our founder Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind, on the very last page, he said, in conclusion, what the world needs is spiritual conviction followed by spiritual experience. I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to have them repeat all the words of wisdom that have been uttered. For it is far easier to teach the truth than it is to practice it. And practicing is the thing that brings us closer to the full fulfillment of what it means to come home to self. I searched for a word or words to describe, in essence, what I wanted to talk about this morning, and the word kept coming up: reversal. Reversal. Because we have at our disposal the ability to reverse the trajectory of not only action, but more important, the trajectory of thought. And it is in that reversal of our thought that we do come home. Probably the greatest example of a reversal is the age-old story. If you grew up in a Christian church and went to Sunday school, it was the prodigal son. And in that story of the prodigal, probably the greatest example of reversal, we discover that on closer examination, what the son had available to him was everything, including a car horn. What that son had available to him was more than enough wealth, was beautiful shelter, was a loving household, particularly a loving parent, a loving father. The archetype of that father couldn't have been more unconditional in the way in which that love was expressed to this son. And yet, because of the veil of separation, and because of the veil of allowing that disillusionment or the shiny object of affect out there to lure him away, he was unable to recognize exactly what it is that he had in the very home of his heart. And so the story goes that he left for the far country. And it is in traveling to the far country that he began to experience the fact that everybody wanted something from him, but no one was willing to give to him. And I find that we act in that prodigal nature when we continue to search for the next great thing, realizing or failing to realize that within our own being, within the home of our heart, is everything that we need. So it becomes an addiction of where, are you the one that's going to fix it for me? Is this the place? Is this the group that's going to love me in the way that I want to be loved? Is this the seminar? Is this the book? Is this the geographical location? Is this the wisdom teacher? Is this the drug? Is this the thing that's going to lead me and take me to that place where I can finally be in at one with self? And when we place the responsibility of that homecoming on something external, then here's the thing. The addiction and the enticement of that will be, I will get what I need, I will chew off what I can, and then I will move on to the next bite. I will move on to the next shiny object. I will move on to the next thing. And then what happens for us in that journey is at some point, like the prodigal son, we wind up in this metaphoric pig pen. And we say, how did this happen? How did this happen? There is something very sobering within us and also necessary in that journey, whereby all of the falsification and the illusion that we have subscribed to as that thing, that fulfillment being outside of us, finally comes to terms. Many describe it as the bottoming out. Many describe it as losing everything, only to discover that by losing everything and by bottoming out, finally, there was a surrender of that illusion. There was a surrender of that addictive behavior for something outside to complete us. And finally, we returned home to our heart. And what is so amazing and all-encompassing about that story is that it's not just about us as individuals, even though it is universal, but it's also us as collective beings. It's about us as a species. It's about us as a planet. That we have to get to this point of breaking down in order for us to break through. And it is happening. It is happening in unprecedented ways. I revealed on Wednesday to my beginners class that a lot of times we've taken comfort in the idea of this saying, I am a spiritual being having a human, I'm a human being having a, no, I'm a spiritual being having a human, see, I don't even like it anymore, that's why I can't remember it. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And I said, I don't really subscribe to that anymore because that's incomplete. Really what I am, if I really want to come home, is I am a spiritual being. And yes, I determine at times that I am having a human experience, but there are also times when I am having a spiritual experience. And so when I am a spiritual being having a spiritual experience, then I'm home. When I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, I'm still somewhere on the sidelines. I'm on the side of the road. I'm in the pig pen, or I'm somewhere in my forgetfulness, and I'm hoping that you might fix it for me. So to take ownership of our spiritual nature is to subscribe to the idea that at any given moment we have the power of a reversal. We've often thought of reversal, the change of direction, in accordance to the phrase a reversal of fortune, which describes how someone loses everything. Well, this morning I think that homecoming is a reversal of misfortune. It is stepping away from, it's realizing, oh my God, look at where I am. I'm in the pig pen of my thought. I am in the lowest. And as the story tells us, the humbling had to take place in order for him to travel home and to be greeted by the epitome or the essence of unconditional love. There, the archetype of that father, arms outstretched, does not go, well, you thought you were going to come back, huh? There was no scorecard keeping. There was simply the welcoming back. But hear me when I say it's important for you to understand in that allegory that the Father is a role or an essence or a part of your psyche that is searching for you to come home to self. Coming home to that Father role isn't going to be found or going to reach a high level of fulfillment if I'm looking for someone else to do that. Do you understand? It's about you welcoming you home. Part of the challenge at times with the mental science principles and the pathway of spirituality and metaphysics is understanding that the all, which is how we describe God, the infinite, which is how we describe source, the intelligence that created worlds, is not out there, but in here. So homecoming is about being still and coming home and reclaiming the power that is inside. So the reversal of misfortune is the restoration of understanding who and what we are. So one day a a boy asked his young father what the value of his life was. And the father, answering, told the son to take this rock and to go and sell it at the market. And he said, if anybody asks the price, I want you to just hold up 2 fingers and don't say anything. So the boy went to the market, and a woman asked, how much is that rock? I think I want that for my garden. And the little boy held up 2 fingers. And the woman said, $2. I'll take it. The boy ran home and he told his father, a woman wants to buy this rock for $2. And the father said, son, I want you to take this rock to a museum. If anybody wants to buy it, hold up 2 fingers. But I don't want you to say anything. And so at the museum, a man wanted to buy the rock, and the boy didn't say anything, and he held up 2 fingers when the man said, how much? And the man went, $200? I'll take it. And the boy was shocked, and he ran home, and he told his father, a man wants to buy this rock for $200. And his father then said, son, the last place that I want you to take this rock is to a precious stone store. Show it to the owner. Don't say a word. And if he asks the price, just put up 2 fingers. And so the son went and he found a precious stone store. And he showed the rock to the owner. And the owner said, where did you get this? This is one of the most rarest stones in the world. I must have it. How much will you sell it to me for? And the boy went. And the man said, $200,000. I'll take it. And the boy, not knowing what to say, he ran home to his father and he said, Father, there's a man who wants to buy this stone for $200,000. And his father then said, son, now do you know the value of your life? Because you see, it doesn't matter where you come from, where you're born, the color of your skin, how much money you were born into, what your story was, or your list of fallibilities. It matters where you decide to place yourself. And the people that you surround yourself with, and the way in which you choose to carry yourself. You may have lived your whole life thinking that you are a $2 stone, or having been told that you are a $2 stone. You may have lived your whole life surrounded by people who substantiated the idea that that was all that you were worth. But in reality, what are you is that you are a diamond. You are a rare, individualized, beautiful expression of that which is the all. And we can choose to surround ourselves with people who see that value and who see the diamond inside of us. We can choose to put ourselves in a market, or we can choose to put ourselves in a precious stone store. You can help other people see the diamond that is inside of them. You can choose the people that you surround yourself with wisely, and that can make all of the difference in the world. And so I doubt there are very many of us in this room or who are watching this who 100% of the time value the diamond that they are. And that's when our human nature or our prodigal nature rears up. But we live in a world now where the convenience of that is lessening. We live in a world where the diamond refuses to be covered anymore. We live in a world where the diamond refuses to be abused anymore. We live in a world where the diamond refuses to be honored at the level and to be bought and to be abused and to be victimized as something that's worth 2. And no longer will people allow this, and we're seeing this. And this is a long time coming. This is generations of people. You see, it was Anita Hill many years ago who decided to say something. And even though people mocked her, and even though people ridiculed her, she knew that she was a diamond. And the beautiful part about her spirit and her soul and her integrity is it didn't matter what the courts said. She knew who she was. And so at that time, if we just sliced that as a particular separate piece of history, we would say that she failed. But what she did was she established a ripple effect, which then inspired some other woman who inspired some other woman who inspired some other woman to stand up and say, no more. And what happens is that suddenly the mocking stops and you get an avalanche. You get an avalanche of advocacy and change that started a long time ago. You look at the fact that we have replaced slavery with our prison system. Because you see, the prison system is the place where we can get the cheapest labor. And something's going to happen because one day that particular level of $2 bidding is going to end. But here's the thing. It isn't our job to wait for someone to do that. It is our job to own the diamond nature inside of us right now and begin to rise up and to claim who and what we are. Because you see, the side of history, the tide is turning so very fast. And it just takes one of you in here, just one of you in here, to stand up and reclaim that for yourself with integrity and with dignity. And all of this world is affected. But I want to give you the polar opposite of that as well. It just takes one of you in here to remain thinking of yourself as nothing more than that marketplace bidding to keep enslaved all of the rest of the people around you and thinking that that is all that they deserve as well. That's how consciousness works. When you come home, more people come home. When you say yes to the magnificence of what you are, more people, in the ripple effect, more people than you will probably ever even be associated with will be affected by that. That's how this thing called life works. When you are a spiritual being having a spiritual experience at all cost, then the influence of that, the vibration of that cannot help but catapult us societally, physiologically, cosmologically, spiritually, emotionally, to restore us to the brilliance of the diamond inside. That's what homecoming is. That's what we are. You know, I watched Greg Braden on live stream from Agape a couple of days ago. And he said this, I had to write it down. He said, we already know how to feed every single person on this planet. He said, we already know how to create sustainable communities. We already know how to heal every cell and organ in the human body. We already know that. He said, our way of thinking needs to keep up with what we know rather than the attachment of a world that no longer exists. The $2 world doesn't exist anymore. And what is required and what is the invitation is for us to go into full-blown reversal. The reversal from our misfortune, the reversal from our identity of being less than, and to embrace and to run into that expansion with every single fiber of our willingness. A bereavement counselor by the name of Christine Langley Oba said, "We repeat what we don't repair." And I will add to that, not only repair it, but restore it. Reverse it to the understanding of our whole and complete nature. That is our job to do. And so I want to charge you this morning to look at how you view yourself. I want to charge you this morning to look at the false idea that by you not doing anything, that no one is affected by that. I want you to know that in the privacy of your own consciousness, in your own mind, in the way in which you harness thought, that even one shred of willingness on your part to reverse any self-incrimination, even one shred of willingness on your part to end now this idea of helplessness and victimization and playing small or keeping quiet, but to rise up and to say, I'm not going to choose that because it's convenient. I read this morning, what is her name? Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman. She just said, I'm not signing on for any sequel unless you remove these people. Because these people that she's referring to are known now abusers. And she says, it doesn't matter how much you try to pay me. I won't do it unless you remove them from production. I went, that's my Wonder Woman. Because it could have been convenient to just sign on, right? It can be very convenient for you to do business as usual. It can be very convenient for you to leave today, go back to your place of employment, go back to your circle of influence, go back to habit, go back to the way that you are with no reversal whatsoever, and pretend like this conversation never happened. But the conversation is not going to disappear. And the tide of change is not going to stop. And you hear this all the time. What side of history will you be on? And it's not so much that, but what side of you will you be on? Will you be on the spiritual side, or will you be on the human side? I want to tell you, I want to remind you of the value of what you are. And if only a small percentage of this room said yes and understood their value and their diamond nature, then there would be no stopping the energy and the transformation, not just of here, but of our city and of our state, of our country, and eventually our world. I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's family. I need you. We need each other to survive and to thrive. Come home now. And so it is.
On. Now it's on. So I'm going to ask Donna to join me up here. I asked Donna was doing the Grateful Giving, and I asked if I could also join her in this because for the last month inside your programs we've had the pledge form. And you've probably heard me say, oh, well, it's a pledge campaign for 2018. And then I changed it and I said, you know what, I don't even like that word pledger, I like the word investor. Because when you invest in the mission of SLCA, it's like investing in anything. You know that something good is going to happen from that investment. So the other thing I realized is that I have the luxury of seeing this more than the Sunday experience. And I know a lot of you may only see it from the Sunday experience, but I see you when you come to class, I see you when you volunteer, I see you when we do outreach, I see every facet of this center, where some of you may not have that ability. So what I thought I need to be better at is sharing those stories about how your investment truly helps this center be the mission that we say we are. Remember what I read at the beginning of the service. We are a center that empowers and enables the seeker for their divine purpose and to engage in this ever-evolving world. So here's a story that came in last week, and I want to share it with you. And this was from Stacy Ruth, who's on our board, and she said, "Dear SLCA team, you did something beautifully orchestrated last Sunday, which everyone played a part and may not fully understand the impact of the full picture. You touched a heart that was hurting. I sent you a young man who has struggled with his self-image, in large part because he is isolated from a community of great role models. I encouraged him to attend SLCA this past weekend. Even though I was out of town, he did. When he walked up to our greeter team, Scott Dorsey, he expressed his vulnerability. Scott invited him into the experience of the service and then to come back to him afterwards. He then, Scott did, connected my young man, who was age 22, with Will Mathis, who treated for him. He left feeling seen, heard, and safe from others' judgment. He couldn't wait to share with me. Beautiful work, my loves, beautiful work. One soul at a time is ample abundance." So again, when I say your investment goes beyond what you may see on a Sunday, this is the kind of stories that happen every day, 40,000 times a day. You cannot imagine the impact this community has and that we want to keep doing. So I ask you, if you've been a recipient of that beauty, like this young man, or if you've been one of those people that helps do that for people like this young man, please become a pledger or an investor, because that's the better term of how we want to look at this. Because truly, we are how we treat each other, nothing more. Donna.
Good morning. SLCA has been my home now for about 6 years, and I know that there's lots of different things going on now, and sometimes it's really hard to keep up with all the changes we're going through. So I'd like to encourage you to lean into these changes and know with me that everything is unfolding just as it's supposed to. For those who pledge with me, thank you so very much. Also, I'd like to ask anyone that's not a pledger to give serious consideration to becoming a pledger. Pledging, no matter how small the amount, $1, it means something to give it on a consistent basis. It's a great way to say, yes, I support my spiritual family. So if you'll join me, we'll do our affirmation for grateful giving. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
Speaking of multiplying, Nick and Christina are having a baby. Well, how about a segue, huh? Please, Christina and Nick Hagelin. Yes, we're so happy that you two are celebrating the birth of another child to come soon. Not soon enough, I'm sure, Christina. I also want to give great thanks to these wonderful diamonds right here, the Sound of Light Choir. So beautiful. And to this man here, Ty Andrews, which has provided so much creative support and so much wonderful cooperative leadership. I bow to you. Also to our dancers this morning and Nana's leadership and their creative aspect for this morning has just been so lovely. We are so blessed to be together in community and celebrating. Also want to acknowledge and celebrate our alumni. I extended an invitation to the alumni to come back and be with us this morning. And in rehearsals, Victoria Peoples was planning her big show, her big debut, and she had much success, 2-night run. And so we celebrate Victoria as well as Terry Burrell, who came back to be with us this morning.
to be humble, to be kind. It is a giving of the peace in your mind. To a stranger, to a friend, to give in such a way that has no end. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. To be bold, to be brave, it is a thinking that the heart can still be saved, and the darkness can come quick. The dangers in the anger and the hanging on to it. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. And tell me what it is that you see. A world that's full of endless possibilities. And heroes don't look like they used to. They look like you do. We are love, we are one. We are how we treat each other when the day is done. We are peace, we are war. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more. We are how we treat each other and nothing more.
The sound of like choir, Nick Hagelin. My practitioners will please come and join me. And as we prepare to close, if you are in need of some prayerful reminding of your diamond nature, then any one of these individuals up here will be glad to spend some one-on-one time with you. Thank you again for being part of our homecoming. Take everything that you heard, embody it in your heart, and let us sing our closing song together.